Alright, as I sit to think about the report this year, I have mixed feelings. This has been a challenging year for all of us. As I put the report together, I began to think about this year and what the challenges are that we overcame. I also think about the coming year and what the challenges may be that we will overcome together. As one year ends, another will begin. It is important to look to the past year as we think about the coming year, because what has happened in the past will most certainly shape what will happen in the future. As I stand here today as a man that has been the spiritual shepherd of LRBC for the entire year of 2020, or at least so far. I don't know about the vote later. Last year I gave a report that largely just talked about the sermon series that I had been teaching and why I had led those particular studies. However, I was unable to have a whole year in view. This year, I will begin this report by looking back to Romans 15:4. Romans 15:4 tells us, "For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the Scripture we might have hope." Last year I wrote this report. I was teaching on the importance of church membership. We've seen this year why that was so important as we've been scattered much of the year. Church membership is a bond that will hold us together as we enter into the grace of God. We also had gone through the book of Titus and learned the importance of being the church. Last year we also spent a significant amount of time talking about the importance of personal discipleship and focusing on your heart and being focused on God and not yourself. Those were all very important topics, but I did not realize how timely they would be for us to prepare for 2020. 2020 gave us many opportunities to reveal our heart's focus and motive as we were challenged in uncommon ways. 2020 gave us many opportunities to reveal the importance of the bond of church membership as we were confronted with different opportunities to live out that bond. 2020 also gave us many opportunities to be the church as we served others that were in need. 2020 is a hard year, but I believe God has guided us through this year in order to grow us emotionally, spiritually, and as a church, but also as individuals. As a church, we were forced to move to an online worship experience. Was that the best it could be? No. However, it did serve us well as an evangelistic opportunity, as well as an opportunity for us to stay connected in a time when physical connections were difficult. So yes, it served us very well. As a church, we faced financial pressures as we were unable to meet in person. Through this, the elders made the decision to receive a financial grant from the Small Business Administration and ultimately funded through the federal government. This produced great tensions within the life of the church. As a church, we were able to use some of the money in savings to have the lobby drywall repaired and the entire space repainted. This has allowed for a transformation of the space into a safe, warm, and inviting place for our new guests to enter. This has given many an opportunity to serve in a new way by being part of the design and implementation of the transformation. As a church, we were separated much longer than any of us desired. We spent a total of 13 weeks of church online only. This forced us to stretch our online capability and create brand new ways to serve our communities, both close and far away, and for us here at home. This also produced some tensions in relationships as we were not seeing each other physically connecting on a regular basis. However, as we lean on Christ, we see that those relationships were strengthened over time. We also recognize that we were not home yet. We're not all home yet. We still have some that are more comfortable from a safety perspective, staying at home and worshiping from there. Having our online church has allowed us to continue to serve those that have not returned into in-person worship yet. This has allowed us to serve those that are on vacation or need to stay home due to illness. God has used this as a time to force us to strengthen a new way to stay connected. As a church, we've had opportunities to serve our community at large. Those within the village of Leaf River were able to see a new side of LRBC. There are many that have messaged me personally and asked me to pray for them or asked for me to help in some way. The best comment that I received from someone over the course of this last year is, LRBC is a real blessing to the community. That came from a resident of Leaf River. We were able to provide everyone in Leaf River a mask that did not have one. There was a lot of sewing going on, and we delivered something like 200 masks. After we delivered those masks to Leaf River, we collected money to bless those workers that had continued to work their shifts at grocery stores and gas stations while everyone else was shut down for their safety. Through these actions, the community has begun to see us as a vital part of this community. When we started 2020, way back in January, which feels like 10 years ago, I delivered to you a vision for the year. As we look to the past, we need to think about how we've been a part of that vision. The Vision 2020 was broken into 3 parts: loving God, loving others, and living it. Loving God, we believe that there would be a 10% increase in attendance by the end of the year. The way things look, I don't think that's going to happen, but we are getting closer to that again. We believe that we would see 5 brand new believers follow the Lord in baptism. That hasn't happened either, although we were able to baptize a new believer in February. We wanted to see more discipleship opportunities for us as a church. On the one hand, I want to say that didn't really happen. However, if we're honest, we have to acknowledge that we did have a women's ministry prior to COVID, and many ladies were taking part in that monthly. We also had strong attendance at our men's Bible study every other Saturday. COVID presented some challenges for this task. However, through technology, we were able to provide a variety of online discipleship opportunities. These opportunities were provided by Adam Larson, leading an adult Bible study every week. There were also kids and teen lessons provided online during every week that we were away from home. Additionally, we had our 2 small groups led by Steve Wells and Dan Drodes continue to meet through an online experience. That took tremendous dedication and heart to provide these opportunities. So with our online discipleship, as well as our ladies and men's Bible studies, I believe that we can mark this task as complete. Loving others, we believed that we would be able to give the lobby a facelift throughout the year. We'll look around out there. Even though it's not completely finished at this point, it's coming along very nicely. We also had a desire to give the kids' ministry space a facelift so that would be an even more exciting, so that the kids would be even more excited about coming into class. We'll look at the kids area. They're back up and running, and even though COVID has thrown us for a loop, we've been able to rework the kids' space physically. We've also begun a brand new cohesive curriculum called GROW that will tie together the Sunday school hour with the children's church hour. We can mark that task as complete as well. Living it, we believe that we would be opening some new Sunday school classes or other discipleship classes and new members classes. This unfortunately hasn't happened. However, there is still a desire to do that so that we can more easily assimilate many of our new attendees into the life of the church. We also believe that we would be able to have some brand new teachers for the kids' classes. This is still a desire as we're moving into new curriculum. However, we do have a few people that have joined into the kids' ministry. But we could also use some more people to step up. That role includes every class from nursery to children's church to age-appropriate Sunday school. With a total of 7 basic items, we've completed 3 of them and are continuing to grow towards the other 4. Just as we look back to the past of what happened and how we struggled and grew, we must also look forward into where God is taking us as a church. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established." Amen. What does the future hold for LRBC? How do we want to continue to grow as a church and, more importantly, as fully committed disciples of Christ? Currently, we're finishing a series through the book of Mark. Next week will be the last week for this portion of the series. The series has been divided into 3 parts, and this month we'll close out part 2. The series will be revisited leading up to Easter of next year. In November, we'll begin a series on stewardship, and we also will have our adult and teen Bible studies going through stewardship discussions as well. Following this study on discipleship, we will begin our Christmas season, and we'll be learning about new ways to impact the community around us over the next few weeks. First of all, I want to remind you that we are officially pushing to collect 25 Operation Christmas Child boxes. I believe this to be a low number, and we can easily serve that many kids around the world. You'll see a drop-off location in the lobby, and you'll be able to see information regarding what should be in the box, so that we can put that together as a family, small group, or individual as well. We've been asked if we would participate in an annual Christmas parade. I'm not sure if I've talked about this yet publicly, but we've been asked to participate in an annual Christmas parade right here in Leaf River. The elders and deacons have decided that we will participate in this opportunity to serve others. This parade will be held on December 19th and will go down Main Street. This is being managed by the leaders of Leaf River, and they're excited about the potential of having a float with a living nativity displayed on it. And I should give a shout out to the Ripmeyers as leading up that float design and creation. So that is our current task. We need to build a float on a trailer that will hold a living nativity, and we need to have people willing to act on that float, to be Mary and Joseph and shepherds and all that kind of stuff. We need people following the float and potentially leading the community in Christmas carols. Finally, we're beginning to think about next year and what that will look like for us as a church. Well, how do we feel? What do we feel God is leading us to? What do we feel God is teaching us? We're forming these ideas and would love to have your involvement. We need you to begin to really pray about this in your home. Specifically, I want to ask you to pray about what our goal as a church is. I would like you to pray about how we can best serve our community around us. I'd like you to pray about how we can make an impact on those in Leaf River, specifically, and Ogle County in general. I'd like to ask you to pray about your giving level, and if you're tithing or financially supporting the church in the way that you should be. I'd like to ask you to pray about whether you are serving in the way that you should be. I firmly believe that that LRBC has been set in this location in order to be a lighthouse for the community around us. Specifically, though, I believe LRBC has been placed here to make a life-changing impact on the village of Leaf River and everyone that lives here. Imagine what it would look like if God used LRBC to transform the village of Leaf River. In order to make that happen and make an impact on the village of Leaf River, we need to be an all-in as a church. We need to all be in as a church. That means we need to be prepared to serve others, sometimes at a moment's notice. We need to be prepared to give to the church general budget as well as specific projects from time to time. In addition to making an impact on the village of Leaf River, it is important to maintain our support of our current missionaries. However, in order to do that, well, we will need to strengthen our local outreach into the community around us. We are truly just getting our feet wet as we learn to engage our community around us. As this is a learning experience, we're going to look for new ways to engage the community and serve them well. We're going to look for ways to engage our neighbors and serve them well. We're going to look for ways to engage those on social media and serve them well. We're going to look for ways to engage with non-believers and serve them well. As we continue to learn and grow as a church, I'm committed to continue to learn and grow as your pastor. I'm committed to the spiritual and theological growth and security of LRBC first and foremost. I want to encourage you to be committed to the unity of LRBC and to the physical, emotional, and financial security of LRBC. I believe that as we grow in Christ together and as we serve others together, then we will be used by God to transform the village of Leaf River. So let's make this commitment together to invite our friends and neighbors over to our spiritual home from time to time so that we're able to grow as a family, because we are family. Amen. Now, officially, my report is over. Unofficially, Sermon 3 begins. I'd like to address another concern that we all have. You're going to see later, if you haven't seen already, that there is a budget that has been put together with the help of the finance team as well as deacons and elders. You're going to see in that budget cuts to nearly every place that can possibly be cut, with the exception of staffing and building needs. You will see that we've had to cut our missions giving by 10% across the board. And that I have requested that we add a new line of church planting to the missions area. Now, I know that that is a very hard thing for many of you, and many of you are not very happy about this if you've seen it. I've talked to multiple people about this. The reason that there is a budget that is being presented that has to cut missions is because giving has been much less than anticipated over these last 12 months. Therefore, we have to make some hard decisions as a church. You're going to notice that besides the cut to missions, there is zero for local ministry of any kind. That means no money for kids ministry, for youth ministry, for men's ministry, for women's ministry. But more importantly than that, it means no money for community ministry. No money to impact our community around us. Or in other words, no money for local outreach and evangelism. That should be at least as troubling to us as a cut to missions. However, as I've been thinking and praying about this report and what to talk about, I felt very much like I should ask the finance team to give it another go. I felt like I should ask the finance team to meet and form a new budget over the course of this next 3 months. To form a new budget that will allow us to not cut missions and even add the new mission of church planting at some place. And allow us to put money for our internal ministries as well as community outreach. Now, this still needs to be discussed, but if giving stays consistent over the next few months, this last month has been strong. If giving is able to stay consistent over the next few months, then maybe in January, we can adopt this new budget that the finance team is able to put together. You see, I believe that God is going to move in people's lives. I believe that God is moving in people's lives. And I'm convinced that God has given us the things that we need as a church to be able to make an impact on those around us. So I'm asking you to pray about that. I'm asking you to pray about your financial commitment to LRBC. I'm asking you to think about and pray about where your financial commitment is. If you already tithe at 10%, then thank you very much. Maybe spend some time in prayer and decide if that's where you should be, or if God is asking you to increase your giving, either temporarily or permanently. If you do not currently give at a percentage-based giving, then I want to encourage you to choose a percent and start making that commitment to God. Whether it's 8% or 5% or 2%, start making the first percentage be something that you give to God in this way. If you don't currently give as part of your commitment to church regularly, then I want to encourage you to take that step to trust God by making that commitment to percentage-based giving right now. And see what God's going to do in your life. If you want to talk about that, then just call me and let's talk about what does it mean to give at a percentage-based giving. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about a legalistic way to give. I'm not talking about putting a check mark next to how much money I write on that check. I'm talking about being clear with God and saying, this is your money, and I'm going to give as you direct me. And I'm going to do so happily, and I'm going to do so cheerfully, because it's not mine in the first place. I'm asking you to be faithful stewards of what God has given you, and allow Him to work in your life. That's a lot of stuff. And I could keep going, except some people might tackle me. But there's something else I want to do real quick. And there's a small group, so this is going to be a lot of pressure on the few of us that are here. But as kind of the ending of my time publicly right now, I'm taking a risk, but I want to ask for some people to share some things and be an encouragement to all of us. So here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask for two people to step up and share what makes you excited to be part of LRBC. Any two people. I don't care. I think you stretch your hand.
Oh, geez.
No, not you.
Oh, Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Logan.
What makes you excited to be at church?
You like going to church? Learning about Catholic? You like going to church?
Yeah. All right. So if Logan can share, who's somebody else? What can share? Who can share about a reason you're excited to be part of LRBC? All right. What do you got?
I know that people here are intentional about just keeping each other accountable and being Jesus to each other when most needed.
Amen. That's fantastic. So you're off the hook. I want to ask for two different people. No kid this time. Just got to let somebody else talk every once in a while, Logan. 2 people to share something that God did through LRBC in this last year. What do you got?
I was really excited to see when we went online, some neighbors who aren't Christ followers watching our sermons and talking to me, socially distanced, but talking to me about it, that they got online, they watched our sermons, and were excited to learn more about it. So it was just a really good way for me to connect with them that I wasn't expecting when everything was shut down.
Cool. And one more person that's excited. What do you got?
I like to see what the book of Mark had. I'm surprised how much that I just didn't realize the book of Mark had in it.
Yeah. All right. Now you guys are off the hook. Oh, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I'm just so glad that we could, when we couldn't come to church, we could see it, online and that. I mean, I think that helped keep us together and made us feel like a family. And that was just wonderful. Because I already spent 4 weeks at home already after my surgery and then all that. And that was so good to come back to church. I'm a church person. I like coming to church.
I'm a church person. I think everyone here is a church person because we're still here.
And I was just so thankful that we could do it. Brian had to put up a lot of this to get us all ready for it.
It was really cool to know that while we were all apart, at the same time, every Sunday morning, we were together, singing the same songs together, and then going through the book of Mark or going through whatever we were teaching at that time. That was cool. All right, 2 more people. But here's what you're sharing this time. I want 2 people to share about a dream that they have for the future of LRBC. Like something that you're excited, that you hope happens at some point in the future. Doesn't mean tomorrow. It could be 10 years down the road. I want 2 people to share about something that they're excited about for the future.
Has to be different people.
Has to be different people. You can't hog the mic, man. That's my job. What do you got?
That will have more people come to know Christ in the community. I feel like we've been more, not saying anything get what Pastor Randy, but I think now I feel like we're more getting out.
Yeah.
Community outreach stuff.
Awesome.
So.
That's great. What do you got?
Well, I don't know exactly how to say this. I'm excited because this church is not perfect because we're all here as people. But I really believe the hearts of these folks that attend here are genuine. And I think there's really a desire to grow in Christ and to learn and to express that by giving more and to being more. And I'm excited because I think as other people in the community begin to see that genuineness and that love and that commitment to Christ, I think they're going to say, this is the real deal. I want to be a part of that. And that's something that I'm going to stand up and shout 3 cheers when it happens, because I think it will.
Amen.
If we just continue to love Jesus first.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. That's fantastic. So that's all I have.
Oh.
I'm not going to hold you hostage anymore. I'm not going to put you on the spot anymore. But I want you to keep thinking about those things. What makes you excited to be part of LRBC? What could happen in the future to get you excited? And what has happened? What's brought us to this point? Because the history plays a part of the future, right? So let's just keep being excited about being a church, about being a family together. All right.